Your Honour.
Good morning, sir.
Are we all set
Good
to
morning,
go?
Judge. How are you?
Good morning, Rim. I'm fine, thank you very much. So which of the remaining defendants' witnesses are we going to hear from first?
Well, sorry, I can explain, Mr. Baldwin, if that helps.
Please.
Yes. So as I understand it, Mr. Raghavanshi isn't going to be available until 2:30 this afternoon, Dubai time.
Yeah.
So it's suggested that I deal with Mr. Abdelazim Osman
Yes.
Ali first. I have very little for him.
Yes, I imagine so.
I hesitate to trouble him, but he is attending from work electronically. And so we're not at least dragging him halfway across town to sit down for 10 minutes.
Yes.
So I hope that you'll indulge me just for those 10 minutes.
Yes.
And then after that, my learned friend says he has no questions for Mr. Hatem Zaghlul. So I was proposing to, and we're rather interposing different parties' witnesses, but we have to now, I think.
Yeah.
So I was going to swear Mr. Zaghlul and get him to confirm his evidence, and then he can be released.
Yes.
And then we move on to Mr. Jabira, who I don't know whether we'll get him finished by 2:30, but either way, I doubt I have an awful lot for Mr. Raghavanshi either. So my learned friend is hopeful that he will get through Mr. Jabira by the time we get to Mr. Beckley. And he's hopeful that he will get through Mr. Beckley in the remaining time that there is in the hearing.
In the hearing, yeah.
So we may, with a following wind, get through the evidence today.
Well, that would be an excellent outcome.
Yes.
Well, without more ado, let's proceed with the next witness in accordance with what you've suggested.
Thank you, Your Honour. Mr. Bowden's on mute.
You're on mute, Mr. Bowden.
Could we take my learned friends? That's the only suggestion I've got, and save another 5 minutes, but whatever. I mean, as Your Honour pleases.
Well, I'm afraid your system went down again just now, Mr. Bowden, and I didn't hear your proposal.
That was to take my learned friend's minor witness, sir. That was all.
I'm afraid
carry on,
please. I think we'll just be, I'm having you broke down again, I'm afraid, your system. So I'm just going to stick with what was proposed by Mr. Yes. Right. So let's proceed accordingly.
بعد السوداني ده على طول.
طيب يعني.
My apologies for interjecting. It's David True. Are we waiting for Mr. Zaghlul to turn his computer on, his video on and load up, as it were? Is that?
We were dealing with Mr. Ali, I think, first, Mr. Osman Ali.
Perfect. That's not a problem at all. Then I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't something our end. My apologies.
Thank you, David.
Apparently he's joining now, sir. My apologies.
Where is this witness? Where's he located? Is this the one that's at work?
Yes, sir. I understand he's in Deira, Dubai, just by the airport, sir. Could you hear me, sir?
Yes, I heard you. Visually, you are inanimate, but I heard you.
That's the main thing. Thank you, sir. Maybe if I don't think it'll do any harm, will it, sir, if I turn my camera off, and that might improve the system.
Very well.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Abdelazim is here. I don't want to keep him longer than he needs to be.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm just waiting to be able to see you on my screen.
I can see the witness, Your Honour. I wonder if it might be just a window that's required.
Is that something I can do?
If you can find his name, Your Honour, Balbinder, and click on the 3 dots next to the name, you'll be in a position to pin him.
Well, I've just got I've got some initials.
Ah, yes.
And that's all.
It should be the initial B, Your Honour.
B, okay.
B. If you have that.
Yes, thank you.
I'm grateful. And if you hover over it, Your Honour will see 3 dots, which, if you hover over, says more options. If you're honest, click on those, and then click on pin.
Well, I'm afraid I don't get any. All I get is a little blue circle when I click on B. I don't get any dots.
If you hover over at the bottom, Your Honour, just underneath the circle, there should be a name, and then you'll see a microphone muted, and then next to that, the 3 dots.
No.
Well, maybe your system.
Well, is this? No. Well, that's a nuisance, isn't it?
Perhaps Your Honour, if you were to right click on the B.
Right click on the B, yeah.
You might see a pin.
Oh, now it says pin.
If you were to click on the pin, Your Honour.
Yeah. Right. Yes, here we are. Good morning.
Good morning.
You can hear me and see me?
Yeah, very good.
Could you just give me your full name, please?
My name Abdelazim Osman Ahmed Ali.
Would it be all right if I called you Mr. Osman?
Ahmed better.
Ahmed better, right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Now, when witnesses give evidence in this court, they swear an oath. It can be a religious oath, or it can be a secular oath. And Muslims often take a religious oath on the Quran. What sort of oath would you like to take?
I am Muslims. This is the Quran. I put it here already.
Right. Now, would you listen carefully to what I'm going to say? Do you, Mr. Ahmed, on the holy book of the Quran, promise that the evidence you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I put my hand now on the Quran. Abdelazim Osman as a witness for this case. I am going to say the facts and the truth for my belief.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Ahmed. Yes. Mr. Baldwin.
Good morning, Mr. Ahmed.
Good morning.
My name is Roger Baldwin. I'm Mr. Abdelazim's lawyer, and I think we spoke on the phone this morning about how to hook up to the system, and I'm pleased to see you here. Have you also got case lines available to you?
What do you mean?
You've got two systems. You've got the Teams viewer that we're on now, but did Mr. Abdelazim also give you this morning a copy of a computer with case lines on it?
Yeah, evidence you mean?
Yeah, the evidence precisely. And can you go to the
evidence,
left?
I have the access.
Thank you.
I have the access. Yes, I have the access.
And do you see your witness statement before you?
A statement. I have the statement which I signed before.
Okay, great. I'm just going to ask you to confirm that. Thank you. So
Welcome.
is your full name Abdelazim Osman Ahmed Ali?
Right.
And before you is a witness statement dated the 13th of June. Is that correct?
Yes.
And can I ask you to go down to paragraph, computer to catch up, 16 of that, okay, on page 5. Do you see that?
The last paragraph.
Yeah.
I have personally witnessed my case.
Yes. And there's something there called a statement of truth. Do you see that? And your electronic signature. Or have you signed that witness statement?
In the online, I signed it. Yes.
Right. Okay. And is that what you've got before you, the same witness statement as filed in the court?
You mean the evidence access in the court?
Yes.
Today I get the link. Now
Right.
I can access it.
Okay. Is what you have said in your witness statement the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Can you stay where you are and answer any questions?
For me, I don't have questions.
No. My learned friend, Mr. Tom Montague Smith QC, is going to ask you some questions. And if you could just stay where you are and please answer them.
I am ready.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Ahmed. I'm the one who's going to be asking you a very few questions. This shouldn't take very long, and we're grateful for your time today. So I hope we don't take up too much of it. Mr. Ahmed, can I ask you to look at your witness statement, please, the one that you've just been looking at now?
You mean to tell about the relation or what happened or something?
No, I'm going to ask you some very specific questions.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to one or two things that you have said in your witness statement. And I'm going to ask you some very short questions about them.
Okay.
I'd ask you just to think about. We don't need a long explanation of everything. We just need an answer to the question. That's all. They should not trouble you too much. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. So the witness statement that you have, if you were to look, please, at paragraph 5 of the statement.
Yes.
And you say, I'm fully aware of the circumstances related to this proceeding, as well as the criminal proceeding against Abdelazim at the Dubai Police Office and Dubai Public Prosecution.
Yes.
You don't work for the industrial group, do you?
No, I don't
No.
work for this company.
And
But I
you
am
have-
close friend to Abdelazim.
Yes.
I meet him on daily basis. And he told me about everything. I asked him what is happening today, what is something. I saw what is the reflection on his something
Yes.
like this. Okay.
All right. So, but what you're saying is that your information about this case and about the criminal proceedings you've got from your discussions with Abdelazim.
Yes, from my discussion with him and from my see how he's looking.
See how he's
The
looking.
reactions, what.
All right. And you took the view that what had happened in the criminal proceedings had harmed his reputation. Is that right? As far as you understood, it was the fact that there was a criminal complaint that had been filed was what has caused damage to his reputation.
Yes.
And are you aware, you didn't hear about those criminal complaints directly from the prosecutor, you heard about them from Abdelazim, presumably?
Yes. And every day, for example, there is court session or something. I asked him what happened today, what is happening. He told me what happened on the updating always what is happening from court, from lawyers, from anything.
And I think you say at paragraph 9, if you look at paragraph 9 of your statement, you say in the middle of the paragraph, you received some calls from some friends and discovered they'd become aware of the criminal complaint. And you say that they had heard about it from a few of Abdelazim's colleagues at the company. You don't know, presumably, which colleagues that information came from.
Yeah, actually, we have close friends, both of us, common. And there is about two or three very close for us, and all, some of them work there in Saudi Arabia, okay? And maybe they have also connection with the company there in Saudi or something, okay? Or they have contact with some people working there. This is my. I think this is from where they know these things or something like that.
I see, but presumably you were not spreading around this information yourself.
No, I know from these friends they are aware about the case.
Yes, but you personally weren't telling everybody about the information you were receiving from Abdelazim.
No, nothing.
And you personally did not presumably believe that he had committed any of these crimes.
Come again?
You personally did not believe that he had committed these crimes that he was being alleged to have committed.
You mean Abdelazim?
Yeah. I'm asking you about your belief at the time. When you heard that he was being accused of stealing money,
I am surprised. I am surprising for this. And I know Abdelazim long time. I know him very well. And I am surprising he to be stopped from work this and to raise issue about him. Actually, I am surprising. I don't know the fact. I don't know what is the fact. Is this the right, is this the truth or not the truth? But this is what happened in front of me. I saw.
Presumably,
For me, yeah, I'm very surprised how this situation coming. Even I saw what is.
Yes. Sorry, I don't mean to stop you. I thought you'd ended. Carry on. Do finish your one.
Yes. When this case happened, I am surprising.
Yes,
I am surprising how Abdelazim, with his long work with this company, there is case against him. I don't know what is this case, right or not right. I'm not in the situation to decide whether this is, but this is a fact which is I saw in front of me.
And did you spoke to him about the case? So presumably you discussed that issue, did you? Whether or not he was actually guilty of these crimes. Did you ask him those questions? Yeah,
I asked him what happened, what is the details of this case. He told me there is there is some debates about some payments, some expenses, something like this. Asking documentations, asking something like this.
And did he tell you that he had not stolen any of this money?
He tell me what is raised against him, but I don't ask him whether he make or don't make.
Your Honor, I don't have any further questions for this witness, unless you have any.
No, I don't have any questions. Mr. Baldwin, is there any re-examination?
No, sir.
Right. Well, Mr. Ahmed, it remains for me to thank you very much for making yourself available during your working day. The court's very grateful. That's the end of your evidence, and I release you. You're free.
So,
you are free to
thank you for all. I am also available at any time. I am happy to see the justice between the people, and I am very happy, and I am available at any time if you need to.
Well, thank you very much for that assurance.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, now
I can leave now.
Yes, you can, and you leave with our thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye. So now we're just going to have a witness who confirms his witness statement, as I understand it, Mr. Monty Smith.
Correct.
Yes. Well, I'm going to. I still have Mr. Ahmed on the screen, which I don't need to have now. He's finished his evidence. So of the initials that I've got across the bottom, the initials for the next witness are what?
So there should be HZ, Your Honor.
Yes, I've got it. Let's see if I can pin him. No, not happening.
You may need to unpin the previous.
Oh, I've got to unpin the previous person. Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Sorry, my technical support, I'm afraid, is rather limited.
Well, my technical expertise is non-existent.
Well,
I'm clicking all round. For this witness, and I'm not getting anywhere.
I'm here, Your Honor. If you have any difficulty, I can open my camera and.
Yes, please. Just do that, please. Thank you. Ah, yes.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Good morning. You're going to be asked to confirm your witness statement, and you are therefore a witness in this case, as you know, and witnesses in this court give their evidence on the basis of an oath they are asked to take. It can be a religious oath or it can be a secular oath. Many of the witnesses that appear in front of me are Muslims, and they like to take an oath on the Quran. Is that your position, or do you prefer another?
Yeah. Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Right. Do you have a copy of the Quran nearby?
I'm actually in a hotel, so I'm in Morocco currently. And,
Yes.
no, I don't have, but I can open it on the phone if it's available with me on the phone.
Well, that would be helpful. Would you mind doing that?
Yeah, sure. So this is the Quran, Your Honor.
Well, thank you very much. Now help me with how I pronounce your name.
My name is Hatem Zaghloul.
Right.
I know it's family name is very difficult, so feel free to call me whatever you want. HZ, Hatem.
Oh, that's
whatever.
very kind, but I'm going to call you Mr. Hatem Zaghloul, and I want you to listen carefully to what I'm going to say.
Sure.
Do you, Hatem Zaghloul, swear on the holy book of the Quran that the evidence contained in your witness statement is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Baldwin?
Your Honor, this is my witness, sorry.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
That's quite
I'm
right.
I'm so sorry, yes.
I'm going to try Mr. Zaghloul. Is that right? And Mr. Zaghloul, do you have a copy of your witness statement in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Do you have it in hard copy or is it on the screen?
No, it's in hard copy.
I'm grateful. So, Your Honor, for your reference, the
Yes.
document can be found in Bundle E,
Yes,
page 266.
266. Yes, I've got it.
And so that is a copy of your witness statement, isn't it, Mr. Zaghloul?
Yes, sir.
And if you turn to the end of that statement, please, which Your Honor will find on page 271.
Yes.
Do you see there your signature, Mr. Zaghloul?
Yes, sir.
And can you confirm that the facts that you have stated in that witness statement are true?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zaghloul. I know Mr. Baldwin doesn't have any questions for you. Your Honor, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. So in your case, Mr. Zaghloul, it's short and sweet. Your evidence is now before the court, and I can release you as a witness. But thank you very much for making yourself available whilst you're in Morocco. The court's very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Thank you.
Good. Well, that's some progress made.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I will now call Mr. Khalid Jabira.
Yes.
There's not too much of a pause.
Yes, good morning, everybody.
Oh, no. I can't see the witness at the moment. Ah, yes, I can now. Good morning, Mr. Jabir.
Good morning, sir.
And now, Mr. Jabri, as you know, you're going to be giving evidence as a witness. And as I've said to every witness so far in this case, in this court, witnesses give their evidence having taken an oath. It can be a religious oath or a secular oath. Many of the witnesses who appear in proceedings over which I preside are Muslim, and they take a religious oath on the Quran. But they can take any other oath which the court approves of. What sort of oath would you like to take in respect of your evidence?
Yeah, a Quran, and I
On the
have
Quran, and you have a copy there. Right, would you hold the Quran in your hand and just listen carefully to me? I can call you Mr. Jabari, yes?
Yes.
Do you, Mr. Jabari, swear on the holy book of the Quran that the evidence you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Montague-Smith.
Thank you, Your Honour. Mr. Jabir, do you have access to a copy of the bundle in this case, either electronically or in paper?
Yes, I have it. I have it electronically.
Electronically, thank you very much. All right. Could you please turn to find section E of the bundle?
Section E. Yeah, witness statement, yes.
Thank you. And if you go down to the 8th document in that, page 184.
Okay.
Just let me know when you get there.
This is the fourth witness statement.
Correct. So you see there, do you, a copy of your 4th witness statement?
Yes.
And if you go to the end of that statement, which you'll find on page 206, do you see there your signature?
I'm getting there. Yes.
Do you see there your signature?
Because the system is delaying. Maybe I need a moment. Yeah, now I see my signature.
Now you see your signature. Thank you. And so can you confirm that the facts that you have stated in your 4th witness statement are true?
Yes, it is true.
And if you go on to the next page of the bundle, you'll find a further statement.
After my first statement?
After your 4th statement, we should get to your 5th statement, which is on E207.
That's true.
So you can confirm that that's your 5th witness statement.
Yes, it is.
And if you go to the end of that statement, you'll find that on page 234. Should be the final page of this document. Thank you. So you see your signature there?
I see. Yeah, I see my signature.
So that's under paragraph 125. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And can you confirm that the facts stated in your 5th witness statement are true?
Yes.
Thank you very much. There'll be some questions if you just wait there.
Are you there, Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, I am, sir. And I was just turning on my camera, and I'm hoping that we've got more stable internet connection now. Can you hear me?
Right. Yes, I can hear you and see you. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Jabira.
Good morning.
Now, I'd like to start at close to the beginning. On the 22nd of January 2018, did you attend a meeting with the defendant and the chairman, and I think Mr. Taj was there as well? Is that correct?
Correct.
And some of you were in Jeddah correct?
Yes,
And indeed, you, the defendant, and Mr. Taj, I think, were all in Jeddah, and the chairman joined by phone or by link from Morocco, correct?
that's correct.
And the meeting was to discuss the pre-approval of expenses to be paid month end, correct?
That was a list of payments to be discussed for approval.
And I don't think we need to go and look at it now, but you're well familiar with that. Runs to many pages, millions of dirhams, correct?
Yes, it's a list. It's a list of payments that was recommended for to be presented for approval.
And just to walk back through that document, it was prepared by the finance team, correct?
This is my understanding. Yes, it is prepared by finance team. The only way is to be prepared by finance team as per the company, how the company operates.
And finance team has many employees, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and they send it ultimately to the defendant, Mr. Abdelazim. Do you agree?
Can you repeat your question?
The finance team prepares the list and sends it to Mr. Abdelazim. Do you agree?
I agree.
And in this case, it was Mr. Abdelazim who sent it on to Mr. Taj, correct? Or did you receive a copy of it?
No, I'm not aware of that. What I'm saying is that I answer your question that it is prepared by finance team and it is given to Mr. Al Fadil because he's responsible.
I will just ask you to have a look at that document. I'm afraid we will need to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And it is of the 22nd of January 2018. And it is, we're looking
at bundle. I want to see the document.
H for hotel.
H
for hotel, yeah. And 7.
H7.
7.
Okay.
That's on the left-hand panel. And if we're going by page number, we're at H77.
H7 numbers. I am at H7, so I have a translated material here. H7, right?
I think you're at page H7. Let's work on page numbers. My apologies. So if you go, can you see find up in the banner at the top there? Find page. If you look, no, at the top of your screen, there's a banner across. It's got home, find, view, present.
Yes, correct.
Okay, click on find.
I did.
Yeah, go across to find page. And click on that. A little box pops up. And if you type H77 in there.
H77.
Yeah.
Now I'm at H77.
Right. And that, just to explain, that's document H7, as it turns out.
He needs to rotate it, I think.
Well, I'm page H77 is an email, sir.
It's an email, yes?
I
That's
think
an email, yes.
Oh, I see. I beg your pardon, Mr. Baldwin. I've gone on a page, yes. Yes, that's right. That's the email.
Just tell me if you would. Now, was Mr. Mubarak Taj, was he receiving this in his finance capacity or as auditor? Do you know?
That was 21st of January.
Yeah.
I don't recall.
Okay.
I don't remember. I have to confirm the dates when he was
Okay.
elected as.
No problems. Can you, it is the case that Mr. Taj had swapped between the finance function and the audit function.
No, I'm
You
not
agree?
sure about the question.
Okay.
Can you
Do you
explain?
agree that Mr. Taj had earlier been the finance manager and had then moved to audit?
Yes,
Yes.
he was at the finance and then moved to audit. Yes.
Audit, yeah. And I'm just wondering, as at 21 January, was he still in
I
finance
have
or
to
was he
go
in
and
audit?
check I have to go and check because I'm an.
Okay.
I can't confirm now that at that time if he was already an internal audit or not, but I can check if I see the document.
Okay. Now, if we go further down the document, we're going down page 70 to page H81, but you can scroll. H81.
Can you repeat the number, Mr. Baldwin? H what?
H81.
81. Okay.
Just scroll
There
down.
we are.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, as His Honor indicated, you'll need to rotate. And so we'll just get that sorted. If you go back to that banner, you've got Home, Find, View. Click on View.
Oh yeah.
And then you see Rotate Right.
Right.
Click that, and we're.
I did. Yes.
I think maybe you rotate left because I just rotated right and we went upside down. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can actually pan and zoom, or if you can just scroll with your fingers, you can make it a bit bigger to view. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that's the item there. If we come down the left-hand side under administrative expenses, correct, you've got number 16, reimbursements to Abdelazim. Agreed?
Right. Yeah, that's number 16. Yes, it's written reimbursement to Abdelazim. Yes.
And if you like, this is the payment that kicked it all off, didn't it? Now, do you agree that these payments, prior to being presented in this list, they had been verified by finance, hadn't they?
Yes, for the payments in this list has been prepared by the finance and they've been reviewed by the finance.
Yeah, and entered into SAP. Like, these weren't just a wish list. This was payments due by the company, correct?
Yeah, but that depends on the supporting, and I'm sure the finance will do the supporting. And it is in the SAP when the transaction is made. So I would say that many of them will be in the SAP. And need to be verified. All the supporting documents has to be ready whenever we decide to do a payment. This has to be already there.
Sure. Well, let's leave 16 aside for a moment and just look at, say, 15 as an example, the one of the payment above.
15. Okay.
We've got that's telephone bills, villa and office. Sorry. See that? Just the one above.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and I'm just talking as an example here, but as an example, that payment or that proposed payment of 32,953 dirhams, okay, for telephone bills, villa and office, in order to qualify for this list, right, it would have had to have gone through a number of approvals, wouldn't it?
Correct.
Okay. And that would be the same for every payment on this list.
No,
Correct?
I wouldn't say that. Now, I'm speaking as one of the executive who's supposed to do approval on his side when it comes to a different application for approval. Let me give you an example. For the 32,000, this is just an example. We would say that this need to be approved in order for us to do the payment. So the supporting document has to be attached with those invoices from the vendors or the utility companies. So this has to be there. It is approved, then it is processed and paid. When it is processed, when we go to the process of payment after approving from this list, then we have the policy who approve what level.
Oh, sure. So we'll come on to whether or not this payment of 610 was properly approved now. But what I want to establish with you is that as a general proposition, everything on this list has been subject to approval by finance and has been entered into either the general ledger or another ledger relating to a recognized vendor on SAP. Do you agree?
No, I can't agree on that.
Okay, that's fine.
But I can explain.
Yes, do explain if you'd like to, please.
Yeah, this list has different items. We have contractual items. We have items that already had a BO, and this BO has been approved already and processed. So we cannot lump them all and say apply the same thing for all of them. When the example you gave me, I answered you. The example you gave me for the telephone, for example, that means we have to present the invoices, and with this approval to go ahead, we do a process of the payment.
Yeah.
In case
that's
of vendors in the top, it's different. They're already in BO, the BO already approved, the execution and delivery already made. We have a credit term to pay after 90 days or 180 days, and the time come to pay, and we are prioritizing our payment. So this is...
And you're talking about the difference between qualified vendors and unqualified vendors, correct?
No, I'm not talking about qualified and unqualified. If any vendor need to be qualified before we reach to this. But what I'm saying is that with all the vendors, there are different, in this list, it has a different nature of what to do before we bring it to list and what we do after we bring it to list. And I'm speaking as an executive, not as a finance person.
Yeah.
Some of the things that done in the finance, I cannot answer them because I'm not fully aware of how the system is working.
Let's go to page M91, if you would be so kind.
No issues.
And now this is the bundle page.
Yes, this is the bundle page. The actual document is M4 and the bundle page is M91. Perhaps I'll try and do it like that.
Is that N or M?
M for motel.
For motor. M91, right? M91, okay.
Now, are you familiar with that document?
And that was attached to a report.
Yeah, it was attached to, I think, originally Mr. Taj's report, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think you might have organised the document production of it on the 6th of July. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct.
Okay. Anyway, do you accept that in relation to the payments for 1.3 million, that this was the levels of approval which had been undertaken?
No,
You don't?
this document actually was a result of and conclusion of an internal audit where it was a discovery for us to know that there was unauthorized transaction made on those dates that we were not aware of.
Okay.
And the internal audit concluded that it was unauthorized and there was no approval found for those transactions.
Don't worry about what the internal audit decided. I want to ask you if you accept in relation to the 1.3 million that this document is correct, that Jitesh was the initiator, for example, row 1, Lakshmi was the approver, the first approver, the second approver was Mahmood, and the third approver was Abdelazim. Do you accept that?
Yes, this is the findings of the internal audit. I trust that what he found, yes.
Yeah, okay. And that would be a typical process for all of the payments or all of the unqualified payments which we saw in the pre-approval list dated 21 January 2018, just earlier, correct?
Mr. Baldwin, please repeat the answer slowly. English is not my first language.
Sorry. We were talking a moment back about the process for approval of the proposed payments set out in the pre-approval list dated 21 January 2018, correct?
Correct.
And I am asking you now if the document we are looking at, page M91, represents approval process for unqualified vendor payments in that list.
I don't agree that's unqualified vendors.
Okay, all right. Do you agree that it represents an approval process for payments in that list?
Yes. The findings of the internal audit, just to explain, the findings of the internal audit went to see that those payments were made throughout those transaction, instruction reference number, and the people who entered and approved them.
Yeah.
So
it
must be in the system. So there must be qualified vendors. So the word unqualified, I don't know. I mean, I cannot answer.
I stand corrected. And is that this case is not just about 610,000, is it? It's also about the amount of 1.3 million. Agreed?
Agree on what, Mr. Baldwin?
Do you agree that there's effectively two sums in dispute? His entitlement to the 610 and his entitlement to the 1.3 million, which he had earlier been paid, correct?
Yes, no, it's not correct. The 610 was a claim that we had to find out yet if he's entitled for it or not. The 1.3 million was a discovery of internal audit.
Yeah.
Shortly after we found out about the 610.
Okay.
So we have to include this amount with what we were investigating. We continue investigating on these two amounts because that was a discovery shortly after the 610.
Sure. And just to bring it to a conclusion, you obtained judgment on the 1.3 million that we're looking at.
That was our advisors. I mean, our advisors who are taking care of our legal. This is how they presented. But I can tell you that the discovery was done. We were actually surprised to find out that there was more unauthorized transaction and with a lot of money. I mean, this is 3 million.
Well, indeed. The dismissal letter said that you were deeply shocked, and I think your witness evidence says something similar, doesn't it? A state of shock. Is that correct?
Slowly, please, Mr. Baldwin. I want you to
Well, you say you
give me the
you
question
were surprised.
because I don't know what you mean by shock. Yeah, tell me.
Well, you say you were surprised. I'm asking you if your level of surprise could be described as shock. Shocked and surprised.
It was a big surprise to me when this was revealed, yes.
Now, just before we move on from this document, do you accept that the payment of 1.348,053 dirhams, 1,348,000 dirhams and 53, was approved in accordance with this document? Or as
Yes,
recorded?
I want to know when you say this payment from whom, from what account to what account? Because there are two payments to take care of.
Have you had some witness training before coming to court today?
Excuse me?
Have you sat with your lawyers and had some witness training before coming to court today?
No.
Are you sure? Have you met recently with your lawyers to be trained as a witness?
I meet with them. We have a call this morning together, but it doesn't mean that I get training.
Has there been any discussion?
They told me about the change in the schedule, and they told me to be ready for this. I was well prepared for it because this is an important case for me.
At any prior stage, have you received some training as to how you should answer questions in cross-examination?
No.
Okay. Been suggested to you the best way to answer questions in cross-examination is to ask further irrelevant questions?
No, I don't, but your question was not clear to me. You're saying that those are, if you want to say yes or no, if this is an approved payment. My question here is...
No, I did not ask.
Well, just let
No, you mustn't talk across each other. I'd like the witness to finish his answer, please. Yes, Mr.
Yes,
Jabber, finish your answer.
His Honor. What I was trying to say is that these are payments made from the company to the vendors. And those vendors must be qualified vendors, and it was properly approved to pay to them. The discovery was that there are transfers from the account of the company to Mr. Al Fadil account equal to 1.3 million. So if the question was, those payments from the company account to Mr. Al Fadil account is approved, the answer is no. From what I collected.
And the problem with that, Mr. Jabera, is it is not an answer to my question. So I would ask you to please listen to the questions and answer them, if that is acceptable to you.
I will listen, and if I don't understand, I want you to bear with me because my English is not helping me here.
I think your comprehension is just fine.
Well, let's get on with the questioning, please.
My question was, do you accept that the payments to Mr. Abdelazim, which are represented on page M91, were approved in the manner which is recorded in this document? Yes or no?
Is approved.
I'm not asking you if you agree that it was correct. I'm asking you if you agree that is what happened.
Yes, if you ask me if it is approved, then the answer is no, it's not approved.
let's take the first row, payment for 170,000, okay? Do you accept that it was initiated by Jitesh?
Yes.
Do you accept that it was then approved by Lakshmi?
Correct.
Do you accept that following that it was approved by Mahmoud?
It's frozen. Yeah, again.
But you've seen it.
Well,
Mahmoud Hassan, yes. Mahmoud H, yeah.
And do you
Yes.
accept that it was then approved and released by Abdelazim?
Yeah, it is
Correct.
there. Correct.
And if we were to go down the whole 12 rows, the answer would be yes to each of those questions, wouldn't it?
Correct.
Right. Now, can we go to page E11, please?
Page what? M?
E11, document E1, page E11.
So that's the witness statement, is it?
Yes, it is, sir. And I'm going to be at paragraph 33 of that witness statement, sir.
I'm not able to get A1.
Just give me the page reference in the bundle.
E11, sir. E for echo, 11.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
In fact, I'll
is
ask you to
this
just
the
scroll up.
third, fourth, or fifth witness?
This is
No,
what's called the
sorry, I've
seventh.
got to ask you this. Do forgive me. This is the what?
It's
I've
the
got
seventh.
the witness statements of this witness go from 3 to 5.
Sorry, sir. This is Mr. El
Which
Fadil's witness statement. His seventh witness statement.
We lost you briefly there, Your Honour.
Yes. Can you just direct the witness again to the paragraph in this seventh witness statement?
Yes. I had suggested it would be page E for echo 11, but I'll amend that to E for echo 10.
Right. Page E10.
Yeah. Paragraph 30. Seventh witness statement, but first witness statement for trial of.
Yes.
Right. You've read this, haven't you, Mr. Jabera?
Yeah, I had a chance to review it. Yes, I read it. Yeah.
Now, this talks about how the 610,000 got into play, correct?
Yes.
Now, I'll take you to paragraph 31, okay? He says there, sentence number 2, I had paid this amount in July 2017 for long overdue for the chairman's villa in Dubai and to meet other expenses of the company Rotana Swiss AG, further amount of cost for the villa in Germany, and also rent in Dubai, correct?
Yeah, that's what's rent. Yeah, it's rent in Dubai. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and let's just cut to the chase. We now know that was entirely correct. That's what the payments were for, wasn't it?
I read the statement, Mr. Baldwin. You want me?
Okay.
You're asking me a question that we know about this. Now, I'm answering at the time of the 600 request was presented.
Well, let's say now these payments were for those items, correct?
No, I want you to repeat your question, Mr. Baldwin.
I'm afraid you broke up again.
Now know,
Because it's cutting off.
okay, we now know, don't we,
Yeah.
that the payment which he had made were indeed for the items which are listed in this paragraph. Correct?
Yeah.
Paragraph 32. Do you also agree that they had been owing to him since July 2017?
That I cannot say yes, because if the company knew that at that time he paid from his bank account to the company account, this could have been the case. But
do you accept what he also says, and that is that there was an insufficiency of funds to cover the accounts earlier?
no, I don't accept that. Because I had a chance to review and collect, from what I collect, the bank accounts of the group was having sufficient funds for those amounts.
Okay.
That I
think it was discussed in evidence yesterday that there, or the day before actually, that there was maybe 7 million in cash against 60 million in debt. Would that be correct?
No, I don't know about this.
Okay. It's in the evidence.
What I know is, I told you, what I know is the cash in the group at those dates, when this transaction happened, was sufficient to make the payment from the company funds.
Okay. There would have been cash for those suppliers, but is it also true that another supplier would have missed out?
I can't tell you that this is the case. It's,
right. Let's
I
go
cannot say that if we pay this 610, that means we're going to cut other vendors. I cannot answer that. We have to go back and see at that time what was the due and what was the funds available.
Well, we're certainly not doing that. So let's move on. Paragraph 33.
33, yeah.
Now, this is the meeting we started talking about, isn't it? Okay?
Yeah, correct.
Now, the chairman, he said, gee, or something similar, that's a lot of money. I didn't know I owed so much. Is that correct?
No, I did not get your question. Can you repeat,
The chairman did not suggest at the meeting that the claims were false, did he? He simply said that he did not know much was owing.
Yes. He said, this is, I didn't know what is this for and why this sizable amount is due for Abdelazim.
Yeah. But when Mr. Abdelazim explained, the chairman knew the nature or understood the nature of the payments which had been made, correct?
The answer of Mr. Al Fadil, because I attended the meeting, was these are payments I made for payments was required at that time, and he mentioned also for the villa and for Otana.
Yeah. And do you also accept
in general without details?
Yeah. Of course, he didn't have the documents with him because you were in Jeddah and the documents were in Dubai, correct? Do you also accept that since 2012, Mr. Abdelazim had made payments on behalf of the chairman, either personally or through the company, to the tune of 7.2 million?
I did not.
Okay.
Please,
Do you
Mr.
accept?
Baldwin, English is not helping me, and maybe the way you say the question, please slowly. So what is
Okay.
this?
My apologies.
Mhm.
Even people in my own country can't understand me, so you're right. Okay. Do you accept that since 2012, Mr. Abdelazim had paid the sum of 7.2 million on behalf of the chairman?
Yeah, a lot. This number in particular, but I knew after this, when we made the investigation, yes, there was a lot of money paid from his account, and then was transferred from the company to his account, and some of them, a good number of them was approved, and has approval, as we found out. And others were not really in the record of the company of approval.
Okay. And indeed, you've done the same thing yourself, haven't you?
Yes.
Well, you'll have to.
What I did the same, you mean?
You have also made payments of a personal nature on behalf of the chairman, haven't you?
Yes, and in many occasions I did, yes. And
Yeah.
it was pre-approved.
Okay, but we're talking about when he outfitted the villa, or when you were managing the fit out of his villa in Dubai, you bought a lot of furniture, fittings, paid contractors, didn't you?
For me, no, I was not involved in that.
Okay. Did you, was it the chairman's villa in Jeddah? Maybe I'm mistaken.
Yeah, it is the villa in Jeddah, yes.
Yeah, and when you were doing that, you made many payments on behalf of the chairman out of your own funds, didn't you?
In the villa of Jeddah, Jeddah villa, it was only one payment that I made for myself, and that was the case when I hired a consultant who was in other project. I hired him to do a certain job. My judgment at that time, it was necessary, but I did not have a contract with him prior to his work, and that's the reason why I had to process his approval. We ended up with a letter sent by his lawyer asking for his amount, and this letter was personally addressed to the chairman, and the chairman ordered me that I go and solve it with the lawyer of the consultant by reversing that, and I pay the amount, because it was something I should have prepared a contract for, and I agreed. And then at that time they requested a bank check. I get the help of Mr. Al Fadil at that time, so he paid the amount with one check, and I paid one part of that amount to Mr. Al Fadil in a plan to give him also the rest of the amount. That was the incident, and that was pre-approved by the chairman.
Okay, fine. Did the chairman ever pay for that money that you paid?
Excuse me? It's cutting off.
Okay. Did the chairman repay you for the payment you made to the consultant?
Yes, I don't have any amount due that is not with the company. I have all those financials with the company sorted out. I don't have any dispute on this amount with the chairman or with the company.
That was a long answer to a short question. Can I assume that you have yourself made payments of a similar nature on behalf of the chairman?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
on similar, just to explain to his honor, similar means when I do a payment, I do it with approval. because that's how I can abide by the policy of the company. Without approval, it is against the policy. So what I do usually is I get approval, whether in writing or verbally, and then I make it in writing. So yes, I have made this before.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at paragraph 33 of that document. Do you accept that what is recorded by Mr. Abdelazim there correctly describes the meeting? Or at least the first three paragraphs, the three sentences.
I'm at 33, paragraph 33, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I disagree on few items in this paragraph. The item that says that he was fully aware, yes, we are aware of the dues of the villa and the expenses in Europe, but
Okay.
what was not aware of that this was paid from Abdelazim and he's asking for all that amount. The company is paying that, not Abdelazim. That was the question and the shock of the chairman. The other thing that I don't agree here is that when he says that that he's saying that this is expressing his opinion that the chairman decided to make it an issue.
Well, I'm going to put it to you quite bluntly.
Yeah.
That it is the chairman's habit when an employee leaves to find a pretext to pick a fight with that employee in order to intimidate them and force them to settle their employment entitlements on his terms. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree.
And I'm also going to put it to you that this employee didn't back down. And therefore, you were engaged by the chairman right through to this day to enter into an improper scheme in order to ruin the defendant and prevent him from getting what is due to him. What do you say to that?
I don't agree with that.
Right.
I don't agree with the first part, and I don't agree with the second part.
Well, let's go down.
My involvement, if I want to explain to His Honor, if that's okay, Mr.
Yes, yes, go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
I explained that I was not actually assigned by the chairman to do anything in purpose to harm. I was involved from the beginning, and that's why I'm giving my witness. And I was an executive of the company, part of the team who was overseeing all this process until we reached to the to end of this investigation and all the legal that is followed. So that was my part.
Well, perhaps I could just ask you this. Did you play a role in discussions where it was decided to dismiss the defendant and that the letter of dismissal that was signed by Mr. Beckley was to be sent? Were you part of the discussions that led to that outcome?
Yes, Your Honor, I was.
That's all I want to know for the moment. Carry on, Mr. Baldwin.
Yep. So we've got a bit of a collision here between your evidence and Mr. Abdelazim's evidence, haven't we? Let's go to.
It's cutting off. It's cutting off. Which page? Which paragraph?
35. 35.
Yeah.
Just next one down. There was a meeting 2 days later in Jeddah, attended by the chairman, correct?
Yes, I attended that meeting.
He flew from Morocco to Jeddah in the company jet, correct?
Yeah, he flew with the jet. Yes.
See sentence number 2. Before the meeting, Mr. Jabira told me that the chairman always behaves in that manner, and we're talking about paragraph 33, and that he will do whatever it takes not to pay me back. Did you say that?
No, I did not say that.
You've given evidence in court about this matter before, haven't you?
No.
Do you recall going to court and giving evidence previously against Global Advocates?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Once with the Global, and the judge asked me one question.
Yeah.
My role, and that was half a minute online, and that's the only evidence that I gave in DIFC ever.
Were you believed? Was your evidence accepted in that case?
Excuse me?
Was your evidence accepted in that case?
Yes, I gave my evidence, yes.
Yeah. Did the judge accept your evidence, or did he accept the evidence by Global Advocates in that case?
Yeah, the judge actually made a ruling in favor of Global.
Yeah, he believed what Global Advocates had to say, and he disbelieved what you and Mr. Beckley had to say, didn't he?
I can't say yes. He believed, but he did not. He did not actually. We were not told that any of the evidence we give was not supported or was not correct.
Okay. Now, let's go to sentence 3. Mr. Jabira also told me that the chairman had earlier asked him to suggest in the meeting that the claimant must conduct an internal audit, and then to assure me that this would not affect my reputation in any way. Did you say that?
I did not say that.
Did you nevertheless suggest that an internal audit take place?
Accept means?
Did you suggest an internal audit at that meeting?
I did not suggest that.
Was it agreed at that meeting that an internal audit take place?
That was the chairman who said that an internal audit must be done in this case.
Was it also said to Mr. Abdelazim in the meeting that it would not affect his integrity in any way?
Again, the question?
Was it suggested to Mr. Abdelazim in the meeting that his integrity would not be affected by the audit?
No, the question was in this way. Abdelazim said, what is equivalent in Arabic, that do I have to accept an internal audit after all these years of service? And the answer from the chairman was, it should not affect your integrity. The company has the right to do internal audit, and the result will show the facts, and that's why it should not. You should not be worried about this.
Did Mr. Abdelazim have the? Do you know what demeanor means?
Demeanor, yes. It's cut off for Mr. Baldwin.
Yes. Sorry about that, Mr. Jabara.
I'm
Now-
sorry, sir.
So it cut off, so it's not English this time, so don't worry.
You'll have to, Mr. Bowden, the witness accepted that he knew what demeanor meant, but we didn't get your follow-up question.
Yeah, and I apologize, sir. I'm using my mobile data, and that was Mr. David Russell QC, funnily enough, ringing me up to discuss a case. So and I can't stop the phone ringing every now and again, but hopefully it won't, sir.
All right, well, let's have your question that follows
Yeah.
on from the witness's acceptance that he understands what demeanor is.
Thank you, sir. Did Mr. Abdelazim have the demeanor of a man walking towards the gallows?
A man working
Well,
against.
I'm afraid you can't put a question in such colourful language to this witness.
Sure.
Mr.
Do you think that Mr. Abdelazim at the meeting could see where this internal audit was going?
Believe me, I'm not able to understand clearly your question.
Yeah, move on.
Can you
Okay.
repeat?
Paragraph 36 on the 3rd of February.
Okay. 36, yes. Mm-hmm.
Were you a party to the meeting with the chairman on that date?
I don't recall that meeting on the 3rd of February for his resignation. I attended the meeting, however, with the chairman and Abdelazim, our advisor and our internal advisor, and the successor. I have to read the document to see if that was the one on the 3rd of February.
No. Okay. You see there at that paragraph that what the defendant is saying is that he had a meeting with the chairman and the chairman asked him to stay on for another year.
No, I don't know about this, and I.
Do you accept that on the 4th of February he was promoted?
Yes.
Yeah. And if we go to page H90, we see there, don't we, the letter written by the chairman praising Mr. Abdelazim for his long-standing loyalty, service and dedication.
Shall I go to that document, which is what?
Yeah, just quickly go to H90 if you would.
H90. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, H for hotel 90. That's the page reference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you see there paragraph 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. Yes.
And paragraph 2, it says that Mr. Abdelazim.
Yeah. All the messages. Yes.
Long-standing loyalty, service and dedication to the group and leading the finance function. Now,
right.
That's an accurate statement made, at the time that statement was made, it was accurate, wasn't it?
Yes, correct.
He was, Mr. Abdelazim was a person of the highest integrity. Do you agree?
Yes, that's, yeah.
And he still is, isn't he? And do you agree that he still is a person of the highest integrity?
Mr. Baldwin, I know Mr. Abdelazim personally, and that's why if you ask me personally, since the time I have interacted with him, yes, he is a person that I know for a long time. But I don't want to mix between this and what we found out, and we have, as you know, conflict on that.
Is it that you're drawing a distinction between what you personally think of him, which is very high? Is that?
Yes, until the time we were interacting, yes, of course.
And you're separating that out from your day-to-day role, from your day job, right? Is that right? You separate
until
your
the time we
feelings.
were interacting, it was both, actually.
Okay. So is it the case that personally you believe him to be of the highest integrity?
Mr. Baldwin, until the time we were interacting together, and until the time even we had the last meeting face-to-face together in the company before he left and before we get those things coming up, yes, I do.
That's your personal view, isn't it?
Well, he's made it clear that that was up to the point before there was what he calls interaction, which I understand to mean
yes,
up to the point where the conflict emerged over these claims and payments. Correct, Mr.
Yes.
Correct, Your Honor.
Yeah.
And does it remain your personal view that he is of the highest integrity?
And can I keep my personal view away from this court session? Is that possible?
No, I'd like you to answer my question.
Well, I did not meet the guy since last time we had this, and that's why I cannot say that it remains or it doesn't remain. Especially that I found that in the witness statement he mentioned things that that I said something that I did not say. So that changed my personal change after I saw that statement.
Do you believe that you can have one set of personal views, but business is business, and your personal views should not enter into business decisions?
Yes, that I believe in that.
Yeah. And so, you know, moving on from February through March, April, May, June, July of 2018, everything that you did was not related to your personal view of Mr. Abdelazim, was it? It was business, correct?
Yeah, it was based on evidence, and it was based on whatever facts that we had in front of us, and it was based on the circumstances at that time.
Did you ever think that the circumstances and the evidence that you were seeing was at odds with your personal view of this man formed over?
Yeah, when I saw some of the statement he made that I said to him when we were alone together, that made me to change, because whenever we are alone, I was expecting that he says exactly the truth of what I said, not to put things in mind without even saying I thought. He was saying certain that Khalid said this and this, which made me actually to have a different feeling about this, a different view for a person even.
Okay. Now just go one paragraph down in document, same page, page H90, and it's got second Mubarak Taj.
The same document?
Yeah, same document. Next paragraph. Mubarak Taj, Director of Financial Planning, Reporting and Treasury, will take over the leading leadership of the finance team. So up until that date, the 4th of February, sorry, Mubarak Taj had been in audit.
Until that time?
Yeah. He moved from audit to finance on that day. Do you agree?
Yes, he was in the audit, yes.
Okay. Right. Can we turn to document E6?
Which witness statement is that?
This witness's first witness statement in the 024 proceedings, sir. Dated the 19th of April.
But this is not what I got here.
Okay, it's document E6, page E106.
E106. Yeah.
Okay. Is that a witness statement that you made in April 2018 in support of applications to for a travel ban effectively against Mr. Abdelazim?
Yes, I made this statement, witness statement.
Okay,
As
paragraph 10.
As requested from me by the advisor at that time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is this your work or somebody else's work? Is this your writing or somebody else's writing?
I was sitting with the advisor for hours and answering, giving all the information I know on certain items. Then and then the advisor gave me a draft to read and to make sure that everything there I agree and it's true. And I read it. I made some changes actually. I remember at that time, and then it was fine.
So it's your statement, isn't it? Not your advisor's.
It is my statement, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Paragraph 10.
Paragraph 10, yes.
Yep. Just to come back, second sentence. You see, Mr. Mubarak Taj, he was at that 22 January meeting as Director Internal Audit, correct?
At that time, he was internal audit, yes.
Now, I want you to go to paragraph 11.
Of the same witness statement?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we'll start from the bottom, start from the bottom of the paragraph, and I want you to come up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines, go across to the word because. See that?
About 6 lines, you say?
Up from the bottom.
Up from the bottom.
Yes. Yeah.
And it says, because he had not even sought verbal approval from the chairman, it is clear that he was trying to make these transfers without the chairman's knowledge and intending that the transactions not be disclosed.
Correct.
That was never true, was it?
At that time, that was the situation. At that time, it appeared like this.
Well,
for many reasons, I can tell you why I had that that statement made.
Well, for starters, he was seeking approval, wasn't he?
Yes.
And so he wasn't trying to make these transfers at all, was he?
My collection at that time, from what was happening, I can explain, if Your Honor allow me, that the payments that he used to transfer from company account to his account, he was the approval. He was approving that himself. So we didn't know about it, and it was not brought to any list for the chairman to approve.
Well, you're talking in this paragraph,
yes,
about the claim for 610,000. You're not talking about the 1.3 million.
No, I'm not
So
talking
this
about
is a situation, just listen carefully, please. This is a situation where Mr. Abdelazim has made a payment from his own bank account, and he is seeking reimbursement from the company, and that claim is put in the list that we saw for approvals. Now, you say in this sentence that it was clear that he was making these transfers, in other words, payments out of his own bank account, without the chairman's knowledge, and intending the transactions not be disclosed. So here you're not admitting of any doubt. You are expressing a hard and fast conclusion that Mr. Abdelazim was intending not to disclose the payments. Now, looking at that again, do you think that that was an appropriate thing to say in this affidavit?
Yes, at that time, Mr. Honor, yes, we had that suspicion because of many reasons.
Well, you don't put it in terms of a suspicion with respect to you. You say that it's clear. And you knew, did you not, that the payments were in respect of the villa and in respect of members of the chairman's family. You knew that, and yet you say what you say in this sentence. Now, I repeat my question. Do you, looking at this again, accept that this was an unjustified allegation to make in this affidavit?
From what I knew after that, my opinion, or what I think about this statement is that the proper approval should have been obtained so that this should not be in that list. And this was the things that brought us to go to that statement I made. The 610 that he paid from his account is for various payments paid in different times, and he's asking now to be paid a number which is 610. For that, it could have been properly pre-approved or even post-approved by sending that to for approval clearly without having to be in this list. As I mentioned at that time, at this statement, that this procedure was introduced, and that's the reason why he has to bring it there. Before that, he took it that it is okay for him to transfer from the company account to his account until this procedure was introduced. and he could not do that anymore. So that was the position at that time. And answering your question, Your Honor, of course, with the facts we found after that, that it was for those various payment made, it would have been even proper if he would present it for approval clearly in a separate, not among those lists.
Prior to the meeting on the 22nd of January, you had never investigated that 610,000 dirham payment claim, had you?
Investigation? No. We didn't.
In fact, paragraph 12 says so. If the chairman, we're 5 lines down from the top, perhaps we're 7, if the chairman had not spotted the entry, Mr. El Fadil would have been able to authorize a transfer to himself without any other approvals, as he admitted doing in the past.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Even myself, I did not realize that in the list. I was attending the meeting. I looked at the list, and it was not. I did not even spotted that myself, to be saying the truth. And when the question came, then I realized that there is such amount for Abdelazim.
And just with reference to the words "as he admitted doing in the past," that is a reference to Mr. El Fadil's statement at the 22 January 2018 meeting that he had previously paid expenses on behalf of the chairman and repaid them, correct?
Yes, he was answering a direct question from the chairman. Do you do this before? And he answered yes.
And so it wouldn't be correct, would it, to say that the payment for 1.3 million was only discovered by the internal audit, would it?
No, I disagree with you, because when he said yes, there was no specific of amount or time or when. But he said in general yes. That means there are other payments made this way, and but at that time nobody would have that.
So when you say that the at paragraph 24, we don't need to go there, that the 1.3 million was only discovered by the internal audit, is what you're saying is that the exact amount was only ascertained via the internal audit. Is that correct?
It's correct.
Okay. Bottom of paragraph 12. The chairman requested that the payment of 610 be held pending a formal internal audit of the extent of the unauthorized payments Mr. El Fadil said he had made on behalf of the group and reimbursed to himself, including the receipts. Okay. That sentence is just a lie, isn't it?
No, it's not a lie.
Okay. Well, did Mr. El Fadil say in the 22 January meeting that he had made unauthorized payments?
He answered the question, said yes. When he was asked by the chairman, did you make such a payment to yourself before? And he said yes.
Did he agree that they were unauthorized?
No, there was no, he did not say this is unauthorized. He said yes.
There was no discussion over authorized or unauthorized in the 22 January meeting, was there?
But the whole thing is about unauthorized. The whole thing is about why are you paying 610 from your own account or from yourself to that amount, and that's why the same thing applied. I mean, when you say yes, it means that I did that before.
Okay. Now, it was also said that he was to provide information including the receipts, correct?
Yeah.
Now, that's not true, is it?
It is true. Why it's not true?
Why would you have an internal audit and also provide the receipts?
It was cutting off, Mr. Baldwin. I need to hear the question again.
Are you aware of any documentary evidence which establishes that Mr. El Fadil was required to provide proof of those payments to the chairman in order to get paid?
Yes, that was, he was asked to provide a file of all those evidence or supporting of the 610.
Okay. Now, you were put in charge of managing the process of looking into these receipts or these payments, weren't you?
No, I was not.
Were you the
If you allow me to continue my answer.
Yes, carry on, please.
At that time, when this was discovered, I was not put in charge of, because it was simply given to Abdelazim to bring it. It was normal for Abdelazim to bring it since it is ready.
Well, his evidence is that he was never asked. Do you agree with him?
No, I don't agree. I remember very well that he was asked to prepare all the related supporting document of this 610 that I'm aware of.
Now,
Sorry, did you hear me?
the word receipts,
Can you hear me?
Mr. Jebara, looking at paragraph 12, very near the end, there's a reference to, the words are including the receipts. Now, in respect of the 610, that would be receipts by the parties paid by Mr. The defendant out of his own bank account.
Yeah, that's what it meant, yes. Your Honor, to explain, at that time, we didn't know if the 610 was a payment from the company to the vendors, providing that somebody was feeding the bank account to do this payment. My understanding, and many people around was at that time, was that the 600 he paid directly to them, and now he's claiming that back. This was the understanding at that time. That's why we said to bring all the evidence and receipt if there is payment to be, he paid directly. And that was the case. Some of those amounts for 600 and more, he paid outside and he provided the receipt after that.
Did you ever personally follow up with Mr. Abdelazim about these receipts?
No, I did not.
Nothing either verbal or in writing from you, correct?
No.
Now, Ernst & Young, they were appointed, were they not, on the 2nd of April 2018, correct?
Correct.
And if we go to bundle I1, and that is page I1, funnily enough, we see that document, don't we?
Yeah, 2nd of April, yes.
That's the Ernst & Young engagement letter.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not signed on page I2, but it was signed by you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that I signed the letter of engagement, yes.
And you are listed in there as the go-to person for EY to talk to, aren't you?
What is that, Mr. Baldwin?
Sorry, I'll find it. Yeah. If we come down to, well, do you agree or not? Surely you remember. Come on.
No, please repeat the
Okay.
question.
Are you saying you have no, are you telling the court that you have no recollection whether you were in charge of this process or not? Is that your evidence?
I'm saying yes. I signed I was in charge.
Okay.
Myself
Go
and
down
and Bill Beckley, my colleague.
And Bill Beckley. Okay, that's good. So you were in charge and so was Bill Beckley. Is that right?
Yes.
Great. Okay, come down to page 2I7.
I7, okay.
Yeah. And it's 2.6 brackets small a. See that?
Double A.
No, so it would be, it's halfway down the page under client specific obligations.
Client specific, yes. Client specific obligations, yes.
So that's your name under 2.6 brackets A, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So by that stage, you were in charge of the investigation into Mr. Abdelazim. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And when you became in charge of the investigation, did it occur to you that you should perhaps ask him where these receipts have got to? How's he getting on? Did you think to ask him in April of 2018 where these receipts were?
No, the investigation, why do I have to ask him? I don't see the reason to ask him. When we put the investigation and the scope, they went to the finance department, they went to the other department as the audit required.
Okay, so are you saying that you went to the finance department about these payments?
No, this is not the case. What happened is that after we appoint E&Y, they said exactly what information they want access to. And we allow them to go to and access all this information.
Okay. Well, you'll see that 2.6 brackets B brackets small Roman numerals 2 further down the page. Do you see that?
Yes.
And you had agreed with EY to provide physical documents related to vendor verification, purchase orders, good receipt verification, vendor invoices, and manual invoices. Correct?
That's correct.
And this is the sort of information that you say that Mr. Abdelazim had been required to provide. Correct?
No, I don't agree with you.
Okay. Did you give EY instructions not to speak to Mr. Abdelazim?
I did not give them instruction not to speak to Mr. Abdelazim.
Well, who did?
I can't be sure who did actually, but I did not give them instruction to talk to Abdelazim. I also know that at the time when they were conducting this, we had a situation where a lot of the document required had to be presented to them, which I understood. As you can see, we brought different departments and asked them to provide those information requested by EY. I did not instruct them not to talk to Abdelazim.
Did you do a walk around with the EY team before the investigation started?
It was a kickoff meeting where they said we need access to the system and to files on those areas. And we brought either by phone or physically those people in those departments and informed them to provide what was needed. And there was, yeah.
No, finish your answer.
This is how they got the access, and they spent time collecting those information and put them in a manner of tabling and analysis before raising any question.
Your witness statement, to which we were looking at earlier, recorded that Mr. Abdelazim had been on leave in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia up until, I think, the 22nd of April, correct?
I recall that I answered a statement of Mr. Abdelazim that he was on a 2-week leave. Yes, he was on 2 weeks leave. Yeah.
Were you a party to the decision to direct him to take leave during 2 weeks of April?
No, I was not.
No. Is it simply a coincidence that he was out of the building? Or, sorry, my question was Mr. Abdelazim present when EY were doing their investigation?
No, I don't see it a coincidence, because the investigation was required access to a lot of document and information in Saudi Arabia, and interacting with a lot of the team in Saudi Arabia. And at that time, we had made a lot of relocation of our teams, especially in the supply chain to Saudi Arabia.
I'm asking you, was a decision made to get Mr. Abdelazim out of the head office in Dubai during the 2 weeks of April in order to not be able to be spoken to regarding the EY investigation?
The answer is no.
Fine. Just before we leave this document, can you come down to I-8?
I-8. Yes.
And you see there the fee for this was $60,000, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. And then, sorry to muck you around, just come up to page I-5.
I-5.
Yeah. And we're at, it's small brackets D on that page.
Small bracket D. Yeah.
Yeah, see it. For point, it says our current scope does not include performing a verification of identified payments for. Okay. You see that?
Yeah, I see it. It's not included.
So EY were never asked to investigate or verify the 610,000, were they?
I have, allow me please just to, I have a small issue with my screen here. Yes.
EY weren't asked
if you allow me to read
to investigate the 610, were they? Or the 1.3?
Not include performing a verification of identified payments or authenticity. Yes.
This was a process review, not an investigation, was it? Wasn't it? Sorry.
It is an investigation because it is an audit. I call it an audit. Now, technically, I cannot be maybe so certain, but what I'm saying is this is an audit.
Okay. Well, if you wanted to find out about the provenance of 610,000, 1.3 million, why didn't you ask EY to do exactly that?
Because simply we hired E&Y for an audit for scope that is beyond the 610, if you can see.
Well, Mr. Baldwin has included the 1.3 million in his question.
I did not understand the question this way.
If you wanted...
wait a minute, Mr. Baldwin, sorry. That's the question. And he's, just to repeat it, he's inviting you to accept that EY were to conduct an audit into processes, an investigation into processes, a review of processes, and they were not asked to inquire as to the payments, which in respect of the 1.3 million, payments which had been made by Mr. Abdelazim and payments which he had received out of the company's bank accounts in reimbursement. They were not asked to look at that and express an opinion on that, and nor were they asked about his claims for 610 million. Now, do you accept that? Looking at that part of the document?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I mean, this payment is part of it, part of the audit that we asked him to do.
But they don't express an opinion, do they, on the validity of the receipts?
No.
No. And that's because they weren't asked. Wait a minute. That's because they weren't asked to do so. Isn't that right?
It's right. We did not ask them to express their opinion on that payment. We asked them to do an audit on the payment and how the payment in the system is carried out in the last in the period that we give to them. And now I don't remember it, but it was at least for 2 years.
All right. Thank you.
Can we go to I-26, please?
I-26.
Yeah. And we will...
Yeah.
I'm working with Mr. Truce here to get a better copy of this, but there's difficulties with that, technical difficulties, but it's fine. Now, this is summary of observations.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed, they did come to consider the 1.376 million of payments during this process, didn't they? Did you, oh, sorry, answer my question.
Yeah, they included in the audit, yes.
Did you tell EY about the 1.3 million that had been identified?
That was provided to them, yes.
Yeah, because we saw that authorization schedule that we were looking at earlier was created on the 8th of April. So during the currency of the EY review, the authorization schedule was produced by Mr. Taj, wasn't it? The document we saw at M4.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dated 8 April. So you gave that to EY during their investigation,
Yes.
didn't you?
So, yeah, we gave it to them as part of an internal audit already done.
So by that, the scope of this audit by EY changed it a bit, didn't it? It started as a process review, but you've moved it through to being an investigation, haven't you?
I don't agree with you. I don't see it this way. The audit means that they have to look at all the process, and this was a process by itself. It was a process of payment.
Did you just give it, sorry, my apologies. Did you just give it to EY, and I went by it, I mean the schedule showing the 1.3 million created on 8 April. Did you just give it to EY as an example of the payment, type of payment that they should be looking at?
Yes, I recall at that time, even they, when we mentioned what we did so far, they wanted to have a copy of that.
Sure. Did you give them, did you investigate any other payments which had been made and make up any similar schedules?
Yes, they requested, and we give them access to transaction of payments made in different years, yes.
Did you have Mr. Taj investigate the payment claims of any other employees and create a schedule similar to what we saw at M4?
No, Mr. Taj did not do investigation for other employees.
Now, third paragraph down and document and on page I-26, is it?
We are at I-26.
I-26. As part of the review, we were advised by TIG management not to discuss this with Mr. Abdelazim.
Yes.
That's got to be you, hasn't it? Has to be.
No, it was not me. I'm under oath, and I'm saying that it was not me.
But surely, if EY were told not to speak to Mr. El Fadil as the manager, senior executive, your words, you're a senior executive, aren't you?
Yes.
The senior executive in charge of the investigation must have been consulted. Do you agree?
Yes, I was involved in this, and I was in charge. That's correct.
Did you tell them not to speak to Mr. Abdelazim then?
I did not tell EY not to talk to Abdelazim.
Were you asked about the direction not to speak to Mr. Abdelazim?
Did the question is?
Did anybody ask you about whether or not EY could talk to Mr. Abdelazim?
No, I was not asked that question.
Did the chairman meet with EY?
There was a meeting where the chairman was briefed on the summary of the outcome.
No. Did the chairman meet with EY during their investigation?
I don't recall there was a meeting during the investigation.
Well, I asked Mr. Beckley yesterday as to whether he had told EY not to speak to Mr. Abdelazim, but he didn't say that he did that. I think he suggested you did that. Would he be right or wrong about that?
Mr. Baldwin, I am under oath, and I did not inform EY not to speak to Mr. Al-Fadil.
Okay.
When did you become aware that EY had been instructed not to have any communication with Mr. Abdelazim?
I was aware at the last stage, Your Honor, when they wanted to make their conclusions, and they said because we did not speak to Mr. Al Fadil, and that's why we mentioned that. And at that time, even we had, when that conclusion was made, I recall very well that Mr. Al Fadil was not even on reach, starting from the 24th or 25th of April. He left the office and he was not on reach.
But what they report is that they were instructed not to have any contact. It's not that they themselves decided not to. They say, and I'm sure you accept what they say that they were instructed not to have any contact with Mr. Abdelazim. When did you become aware that an instruction had been given by the company that they should not have any contact with Mr. Abdelazim?
I recall, Your Honor, at the time when they were making their conclusion, the first conclusion. At that time, I came aware it was instruction. But they mentioned to me that because we did not speak to Mr. Abdelazim in many times during the work.
Yes. Now, it's 1:15 in Dubai. I think I've got the time difference correct. And what we would normally do, and this is what I propose to do, is that we have a break now of 45 minutes, because this would be lunchtime for many people in Dubai. And so that's what will happen. We're going to have a break. Now, I give this direction to every witness, and it is this. Until you've finished your evidence, until all the questions are over, both from Mr. Baldwin and from Mr. Montague-Smith, you mustn't talk to anybody about this case. Do you understand?
I do.
Thank you very much. So if you would abide by that, I will be grateful. And we shall resume at 2 o'clock Dubai time, 11 o'clock London time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Mr. Jabara.
Hello, Your Honor.
And Mr. Baldwin's there, that's good. And I think Mr. Montague-Smith will be there.
I'm here, Your Honour, yes.
Yes, very good. Well, then we shall continue with the cross-examination of this witness. You're still muted, Mr. Baldwin.
My apologies. I remember that we were at page I-26, were we not?
Page I.
And you probably have to go to view and then rotate.
I-36.
26.
26, 26, I-26. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know Mr. Jitesh Raghavanshi?
Yes, I know him.
Yeah. And did you know him at April 2018?
April 2018.
Well, yeah, as at the time of the EY report, did you know who Jitesh was?
Yes, I know who it is.
Yeah. He's a general accountant in this in the company, isn't he?
Yes.
Correct. And have you seen his witness statement that he has put in this proceeding?
Yes, I read his.
Yeah. And do you accept that out of the 1.3 million, he processed probably, I think, 1.2.
Yeah, probably. I have to check, but this is what I understood, yes.
Almost the whole lot of it. Did you introduce EY to Jitesh?
No?
Did you instruct Ernst & Young to talk to Jitesh?
No, I did not instruct them to talk to GTs.
Did you, prior to putting, well, hang on, we can put it this way. If we go to back to document M4, the reimbursement approval, and so that's page reference M91.
M91. Yeah.
And I think we agreed, did we not, that this was produced or provided by Mr. Taj.
Mm-hmm.
I think the evidence in the document production statement is it actually was actually created by Jitesh on the 8th of April 2018.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so at the time the EY were conducting this investigation, you had possession of this document, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes. Did you ever consider instructing EY to go and investigate these transactions with Jitesh?
I did not consider this for GTs as an individual, but they, in the kickoff meeting, they requested an access to a lot of financial information, and we gave them that access, and all the employees in the Department of Finance were asked to provide that information to E&Y, including GTs, of course.
Oh, sorry. My apologies.
Including GTs, of course.
So the witness added included Jitesh.
The department, including GTs, yes.
Yes.
He was in the finance department at that time.
If Jitesh were to in this proceeding and were to tell his he was not spoken to by
Sorry,
EY,
Mr. Baldwin, I'm afraid your voice became incomprehensible.
I'm sorry. If Jitesh were to give evidence in this proceeding and to tell His Honour that he was not spoken to by EY, what would you say to that?
I would say to that they spoken to people in the department, and they also stated that they received an answer from them that they are instructed by Mr. Al Fadil to make those payments, and that's why they did it. So that's in the report. This is what E&Y told us. Now, they asked GTs or other employee that I am not really sure about. I cannot definitely answer. But he was there in the department during this time.
So are you telling the court now that you were aware from the EY report at the time of the dismissal that the EY report had concluded that these payments were made as effectively loans to the company by Mr. Abdelazim?
Yes, when we get to the first summary of their findings, it was stated, and among other things they listed, that was the payment to, they call it employees other than the payroll, and in that they put the numbers. And the numbers, if you look at it, they even included other things other than the 1.3 million that was mentioned. So yes, it was clear to us that there is an unauthorized transaction from the bank account of the company to the personal bank account of Mr. El Fadil.
Well, are you able to point to the part of the EY report which says that it was clear that there were unauthorized transactions from Mr. El Fadil or to Mr. El Fadil from the company? Can you help me with that?
I have to go through, I have to go back to this page. If you help me to get to that document, what was
the one we were at before?
No,
I-26?
the report.
Yeah,
EY
I-26.
report. Sorry, my thought, what was it again? I what?
26.
Thank you very much.
I-26.
Is it? Yes.
Yeah. So the summary of observations start from I-26. Let's go this way.
Now, I think you were saying that the report told you that there were unauthorized payments made from the company's accounts to Mr. El Fadil. Is that correct?
Yes. That those payments did not follow the policy approval of the company.
Where does it say that?
I have to read this, but this at that time we had it concluded. It's mentioned. This is this and payment during. If you look at page I-26, the detailed observation. If you look at the last line of the first paragraph, it says clearly that we were not provided with any written approval for these transactions.
Hmm. And
then, okay, if you allow me, and then in paragraph 2, it says that we inquired with the account department on these payments. See, I mean, they talked to people in the department, and they informed us that Mr. Abdelazim had instructed them to make these payments because Mr. Abdelazim had earlier deposited funds from his personal account to TIG account.
And so are you saying on the basis of that, you concluded that these were fraudulent payments? Is that your answer?
Yes, it is. For us, we concluded this was unauthorized payment done at those period of time and as per the discovery, and those were not supported with approval because as per the policy, any employee cannot transfer from the company account to his account when he has authority of payment.
But of course, well, no, my question, I suppose, is, so when it comes to the decision to dismiss this man, we're looking at your justification right here.
Not entirely. The decision was made with a lot of other factors put together with the circumstances at that time.
What would those be?
This report, for example, which we came to know about the conclusion early May, suggested that there are a lot of other things that is alarming. If you look at the following pages in the summary, you will find that they talked about payment to vendors. They were talking about even insufficient document was presented, and based on that, the payment allowed. They raised the fact that not all the vendors paid are qualified vendors as per the policy of the company, and a lot of other things, because this is all related to payments. So,
but none
Let him
of which.
finish. Let him finish. Please finish your answer, Mr. Jabara.
yes. So we put that in mind at that circumstances, and just remind you before that we had the unknown payment of the 610 is still there. At that time, also we had an issue that the transition, the handover of Mr. Al Fadil to his successor was not properly done, and it was not done actually. And then this report came about. Mr. Al Fadil left the office, taken the computer. He was out of reach. So 5 days after that, we received a resignation letter. So all this put together, we had our internal discussion. We seek the advice of our advisors at that time for the best decision to be taken, and we forwarded this recommendation of termination for cause as we advised to the chairman, and he agreed.
Okay. Well, just working through that, none of the breaches of policy, such as they are, were referable to Mr. El Fadil, were they? They were none of them his fault.
No, you have to repeat because it's cutting off, Mr.
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yeah, you got out again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of the identified procedural difficulties in the EY report were referable to Mr. El Fadil, were they?
Yeah, many of them are referred to Mr. Al Fadil and his department.
Okay. Mr. El Fadil gave evidence about that yesterday, and he said, look, there were a number of compromises with the design of this system, and those are actually what's reflected in the report. So the report's written from a state of perfection, and what we had was something less than that, but which worked for the system we had. Do you agree with that?
I was not aware that we have a loophole in the system that troubling the audit of EY or anybody. What I know for sure that Mr. Al Fadil was the head of the finance for a long time. If this is really a loophole that could lead to those conclusions, should have been taken care of. We had a chance indeed in 2012, 2013, after 2012, to order a new version of the system that will allow us to perform better. At that time, we should have been taken care of. I am not aware that we have such a loophole, and it was left making this loophole troubling anybody auditing us.
Well, who said it was a loophole? If the chairman had directed Mr. El Fadil to pay his villa expenses in Germany, in Switzerland, pay his staff in Germany and in Switzerland, pay his wife's phone bills, his children's phone bills, his wife's cash, pay the rent on his personal villa in Dubai, and the miscellaneous other expenses related to the construction of his villa in Jeddah. And if those are all unqualified vendors, how is that ever going to be the fault of Mr. El Fadil?
And what this has to do with answering your question? You're saying
if
that
you say
yeah.
that he was dismissed because he was making payments to unqualified vendors, which could, as a control weakness identified in the report, how was that control weakness the fault of Mr. El Fadil if those unqualified vendors were those directed to be paid by the chairman?
No, that's not what the ENY outcome was. Those vendors are vendors of raw material and services, and we have thousands of them. And it was mentioned, sample was taken. If you look at the report, it's analyzed. We're not talking about unauthorized vendors being the chairman's special personal payments.
Well, your dismissal letters, did you approve the dismissal letter before it went out?
Again?
The letter of dismissal, H24. Let's go. H133 is the page reference.
H133.
H133.
Yeah. H133.
Okay.
And what is this?
So we've got there, haven't we? At paragraph 7.
7, okay.